it's going to be a good one here. Tomb of the Spider Queen. And the last time we saw Synergy on Tomb of the Spider Queen, Caldor's heart was so upset with Synergy. And hopefully today it'll be a little bit better. They also pulled off a really odd composition. They ran Gosa. They were looking for these really hard engages. They just couldn't pull it off.
I was absolutely fine with the comp.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a comp where I say, okay, this is like the most meta, but Synergy is the team that tries, with Expert, that oftentimes have their own things. What I definitely criticized, you don't just throw out two ults when half of your team is completely missing on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah.
So they had massive coordination problems there, and that was the worst game they played yesterday. But the idea behind it, hey, they said the draft didn't really go their way, but them having a bit of a giving it a go with a different setup, I can totally get behind that. I mean, sometimes it just works. And yeah, we need coordination right now. We need Synergy to show up. The Ducks, on the other hand, of course, they want to make that 3-1 happen. They want to be done with the series here. But Synergy, they're having first pick and first ban.
Yeah, this is actually a battleground that the Ducks love to pull off. They ran Tomb of Spider Queen very often. In fact, they played against Fnatic in the past, and Fnatic used to be the team for this battleground. And the Playing Ducks put up a fight. In fact, I think they got a win off of them, too. So we can watch for the Ducks here to put on a performance like no other. Synergy, on the other hand, will have to match them. They will have the first ban of the game here. We'll see what they will be getting rid of.
We've been talking a lot about Sport Billy. We've been talking a lot about potential bans here, and the last time we saw a ban on Medivh, and that could be one of the things they get rid of, but apparently they still have fond memories of, I was talking about Varian for a moment, fond memories of that Shrine game with Varian, but it looks a little bit like they're attacking Chris Blosian's hero pool now and try to eliminate the Johanna.
And this is where I get mean, man. Like, you ban out the Johanna, and it makes sense to me, because Chris Blosian, when he's on a Nubrek or a Murden, I see him get out of position way more compared to the Johanna. His Johanna play is phenomenal, but you get rid of that, and suddenly his tank tiers seem to fall down pretty heavily. His EDC, I think, is actually better than his Murden overall, but EDC not being quite in the meta, not picked up as often. So, Johanna will be the target here. Synergy has gotten rid of it. But on the other side, you look at Power of Dream, and I think he makes a lot of mistakes too. Yeah.
That's definitely true. That's one of the things where he needs to be careful. We saw that they oftentimes don't check bushes when they don't know where the opponent is, so we saw a few ganks happen on Infernal Shrines. The Ducks, again, get rid of the mother ducking Oriel and shutting her down, so double support. Once again, not going to be a thing.
Not going to be a thing. They have taken out the Angel, and they will continue to do so. Gul'dan will be the first pickup here, and to be honest, they didn't really get to the ability to pull off Horrify as well as the top tier teams. When you see a Horrify, it usually equals a kill. Granted, Synergy was behind from the mid game to the late game, and it just did not pull out as well as you normally would see, but I need to see Neon be a bit more aggressive with those Horrifies, especially if he can get the setup from his teammates.
Yeah, that's the problem. He didn't get the setup.
Yeah.
None at all. At no point on Dragonshire was there a situation in which they approached a 5 versus 5 team fight.
Yeah.
It was always isolation fights, always isolated kills, or them already losing a member before they could set up anything. So they have still a faith in Gul'dan, but they need to make sure that they can put him into a good spot here. The Ducks, on the other hand, a double pick for them to start things off. Now, we've been talking a lot about the Medivh. We might see him a little bit later. Normally, he's not one of the earlier picks. But we are seeing a Nubrok first of all taken. It works against the Gul'dan and again the Greymane. So a strong start for them, which still leaves a lot of options for playmaker heroes on the side of good old Sport Billy.
Yep, pretty standard here. In terms of picks, another reason why Johanna getting banned out too, just with it being 2-minute Spider Queen, she is probably one of the best wave clear tanks they have available to you. And when you're so close near each other, Johanna being on the lineup for the opposing team can be difficult to deal with. Now, Synergy can start drafting towards clearing out as much as they would like. They have their Gul'dan set up. Any more there could be wonderful for them. Rhaegar is actually pretty solid support on this battleground in particular, but normally you move into Lucio just to make sure that you're set up to run those rotations. You can clear out the mid and the top without having to mount up as you would normally with a normal support.
And they can still go into... Synergy can still go into the Malfurion here, as they did before. They like to play with Karazim. But we have Sonya and Arthas. So again, Sonya taken, and that is probably going to be Hydra against at that bot lane. And they played so many different heroes on this map in particular. We've seen them with the Rexa, we've seen them with the Probias. They go sometimes completely full on Gracie Town, but this time, as we saw on Braxis, they play this more meta, more standard, saying, okay guys, this doesn't really work for us. We need to change our pace a little bit. Let's go into the Sonya together with the Arthas. We already have a very solid and aggressive front line here for them. Also, of course, a great tool against the Greymane. But yeah, I'm liking this approach. This is a very solid draft. Gul'dan, Arthur, Sonya, so far this is looking strong.
Yep, they have wave clear, they have a strong bottom lane, they have engage, they have a root. Looking at yesterday's draft, they went for the Oriel Resurrect with the Uther. Don't think that's going to be a possibility. One, because Oriole's banned out. And two, Uther, not really the best in this rotation. They also went for the Synergosa. So Synergy play a little bit more towards the map now, which is what I want to see from them. I always feel like they're trying to play their own styles and change things up, which is great. It's healthy, but sometimes you just got to play the battleground.
Yeah, thank God. And don't remind me of the game yesterday. That triggered me hard.
Sorry, man. I didn't mean to go there. I was getting you back for the playing/playful thing you did last match. That wasn't cool, dude. That wasn't cool. For real, man.
Oh, but I got you.
I got you. That's all that matters. Lucio banned out. No longer available here. Falstad would be taken away. So, yes, they are targeting the Johanna here for Explosion, but now the Falstad for Sport Billy. And now we get to wonder what exactly we'll be getting from him. Zarya would probably be the most meta for this battleground, especially with you having Greymane. But Medivh, yeah, that's one that I was thinking about next. Could be a possibility. But do you play Medivh into a Sonya/Arthas?
If you're Sport Billy, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Sport Relay Factor could be strong enough. I am a bit worried about the control that could happen. Sonya and Arthas do pretty well at controlling portals. If anyone comes through, the slam damage is really great. You can also Whirlwind. And then there's always the reading root if you drop the root when you know somebody's coming through.
Yeah, the thing is, I believe we're probably going to see the Malfurion on the side of the Ducks, so the root is most likely not going to be an issue. What I still want to say, though, is that if you have a Medivh on this map, you get great vision on both of the turning points. That's a huge asset of it. But I think it's just one of the heroes where with the ley line seals in particular, Sport Billy has been setting up so many kills for his team. But we do not see that yet. We have Malfurion Leoric taken first, so noteworthy. We do not have any hero for Sport Billy yet. So he is going to be the last one to take, so they're going to adjust with it, which to me means Medivh is still on the table. And the question, of course, is are they going to use him or something else? I mean, we've seen them, again, we talked about the Tychus before. We had Tychus, we could see him maybe even with the Zeratul setup. They could try and make that work depending on what Synergy goes for next. I doubt it a bit against the Arthas and the Sonya, but let's find out. Synergy, first of all, needs to deal with that. Sonya versus Leoric is going to be our bot lane. We already know that much. Charism maybe as a healer. Personally, I would like the Rhaegar a bit more. It just feels like Charism is more synergy. Morales! Suljin!
Okay.
Alright. Me likey.
Are we going to get a Chromie pick maybe? And then we put Sport Billy on the Greymane? For the Ducks? What do you think about that? With that Morales and Zul'jin coming in there, I feel like the option becomes a little bit better.
Chrome is actually a decent idea for Chris. Loves to play the hero.
And then
I would
Greymane?
still say, just on a whim, no.
Okay.
But it is an option.
Zul'jin and Morales, the duo that can be pretty darn powerful, especially if you start winning those team fights with Sonya in the front line, Arthas as well. Zul'jin's going to be kind of hard to dive here, and Tombs will have to be on point in particular here from Nande to get these engages he would want. But so far, Synergy has a strong lineup.
Yeah, I like what they're doing with that more meta approach now. They have a strong auto attacker, they have good mage damage on the side of Gul'dan, Horrifier is a fantastic tool, Morales from the heals in the backline. The engage against Morales is, of course, either going to be Entomb or Nubra going to try and dive deep. So Morales has to play really, really careful here. But she has a lot of heroes that are good at protecting her, so that's good. And you're right, they go for the Chromies. So they're going to go for the switch and have probably Sport Billy on the Greymane. It's a great hero for this map, and as we said, Chris likes to play her. Still wondering if they must have been thinking about the Medivh too. I think that as a playmaker for them in the past, Sport Billy has done amazing things. But yeah, so Chromie for the snipes in the back line. I like that.
Slows down the rotations enough for Gul'dan. If you start to hit that back line slightly enough, Morales can start to get stressed out with the mana if you start to outpoke, so it works out overall. And they have decent wave clear themselves. They have Greymane, who can deal with the wave if need be, go into Worgen form, and then you have your boy Leoric, who just walks over and drops that Q. So Chromie now is all about doing the damage to the opposing team and trying to slow down their rotations.
Now, she's great for the map and also for the setup. Personally, I just said, for me, I'm so impressed with the Medivh play on the side of Sport Billy that I would have preferred that.
I haven't seen it in a while either. It'd be nice for them to pull it out, because when they have their Medivh, it feels like they're much more confident on their engages.
I don't even know.
Team Liquid, I think, was the last time.
Did they actually lose with Medivh?
The last time I remember seeing them on it was on BOE, where we had that incredible leyline seal into Qs of 3 snipes on the top right. It's the last time I remember seeing it.
I'm not sure how... I would actually... I don't know it on the top of my head, the win ratio that Sport Billy has on Medivh, but we need to look that up later. The thing is that I feel he always has such a huge impact that Medivh is usually banned out against them. This is one of the reasons why we don't see it as often anymore. Not because they don't want to play it, but because other teams say right at the start it's not happening, because they know how good that is. So I would love to see that again, would have loved to see it here, but I can completely understand what they're doing with the Chromie, and it's great for the map as well. Chris loves to play it, so yeah, get some Chromie action into the game.
Well, no Medivh here, but we got another mage. We got the Chromester, and we'll see how she's played here in game number 4 as we move to Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Tomb of the Spider Queen is our map, and we have the 2-1 lead for the Playing Ducks, who are also featuring a Chromie here. And of course, we already have Trixer really excited for that Dragon's Breath build that he personally prefers. To the left side, though, we have Synergy currently playing with, once again, Neon on the Gul'dan, Sefka on Moradas, Ice Cream on Suljin, Hydra on Sonya, and Power of Dreams on Arthas.
And to the right, the Ducks here in the red. Wolf Joe will be on Malfurion. We're going to have Chris on a Nubrak. That voice line being showed off by Chris. Sport Billy here with Greymane. Here is the Chromie being played by Chris himself. And Nande will be on the Yorick.
All right, so of course we do not have a W build. It was a bit of a reference to yesterday's games when ADRD pulled out something a bit different. And today we are seeing a way more normal build on Chromie, at least on the level 1 talent. But also, when we're talking Leoric, we currently see him down to the bot lane with blocks. Same true for Sonya and Arthur. So a lot of the tanks actually deciding to go into the more passive talents here.
And here we go. The wave clear begins for Synergy, and they have some solid wave clear and pretty solid damage. Oh my gosh, Morales, what are you doing? Sefka getting picked off here, Burrow charge, and Playing Ducks take an early lead.
Yeah, so that just happened, and right now, I mean, if you lose a hero like this early on, then at least lose it right at the start. Death timers are still pretty low, and you can just move in, but of course it puts a bit of a damper on your 4-man rotation that you are trying to set up between the middle and the top to control the lanes. So that is definitely something that he cannot do later on in the game. Dying like this early, being that far out, is a problem. Chris currently wave clearing here and still firing shots at Neon. Gul'dan keeping himself very far in the back.
Q connects. Chris here landing those Qs off. Now we're going to have Synergy finally grouping up once again. Scouting drone has to put down. The Ducks have superior vision right now. With the scouting drone on the bottom, time trap at the top. If anyone steps forward to deal with that Anub'arak, we're going to have a combo come out from Chris as he'll continue to poke here on the left. Neon gets chunked there by the Dragon's Breath.
Yeah, so Chromie is really just going to be that entire aggression from the back. And also with the level 4 talent, we're going to have the improvement on the auto attacks after your Q. Down to the bottom, still that battle between Leoric and Sonya happening. And Sonya is doing a very solid job there. It's a cool matchup for her now, especially if she can evade Leoric's W, the Drain Hope. And that's, of course, a bit of an issue with him not even having the extra range, so it makes Hydra's life a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, you could even argue that Hydra can walk in there and even tank that Dragon Hope a little bit once he misses one and just sit there and clear out the way. Like right there, he just took it and he just healed all the way through. Nande forced a retreat. In that matchup, if you miss one Drain Hope, it feels really bad for the Orc. However, if you can hit every single one, you can get to a point where you start to etch out Sonya.
Yeah, but it's difficult, as we just saw down there. But you are right, if you miss one of your Drain Hopes, then you are more or less screwed. And he is already suffering. Even allowing Hydra to join up in the middle right now and trying to make a play there. So Ice Cream also goes in with a Troll, trying to get a few auto attacks.
Damage between our two teams. The Ducks keeping up with their pushing. The experience started to level out. 17 of the gems turned in for the Ducks, while only 9 have been dropped off by Synergy. They're starting to get their groove here, though, especially with Hydra doing so well on that bottom lane. Synergy starting to rotate between their lanes pretty effectively. They have now adjusted to the point where Sefka can't get picked off, as Power always checks the push before he steps forward. So good adjustment by Synergy, as Arthas will continue to be that anchor.
Yeah, also with a build on the side of Suljin now, starting straight with the U1X to go for the stacking and then let the killing begin. We're having at this point still even experience for the two teams, but a bit of an advantage turning in a few of the coins. Chris, so low, but able to move away. Neon not able to drop enough damage to take Chromie out.
Neon, though, getting low or close to killing that Chromie due to Chrisplosion missing out on that Burrow charge. You got to make sure you land those, especially when you're going in to save your teammates. Chrisplosion on the back left side gets hit with a Howling Blast, also taking damage here from Neon. Could he get the kill? No, Anub'arak too good against mages. Billy coming in from the side here, helping out with their own damage. And while we have brawls here, less kills overall popping out for our teams.
Yeah, bot lane is still more or less controlled by Sonya, I'd say. She's trying to turn in, but Greymane is rotating in. 11 of those gems held by Hydra. Second time that he plays Sonya today. Not a hero that we see him on all that often, but he has been able to impress on Braxis. See if that's going to happen here again for them. Already pushing back Leoric here. It's still a pretty even lane. I mean, a few more shots fired on the towers on the side of the playing Ducks, so Sonya is able to do a lot of work down here. But Leoric, at least for now, holding his own still.
Oh, another big pick off in the playing Ducks. They now have 2 kills in this game. They also have enough gems for a turn-in. They will start dropping off a few here. Chris Explosion dropping 7 off. Sport Billy coming up afterwards, and if he can get these actually landed into the turn-in, they will have the first spawn of the Web Weavers. He will not be contested, and the Ducks will start pushing in here.
Very good stun that we just saw coming out of Anubarak, delaying Arthas long enough so that the turning could be completed. So that was definitely a good job. Vicious Assault now taken on the side of Suljin, and they have to make sure that they chunk down those Web Weavers super fast. The question is really how many structures can the playing Ducks take down with this attempt now?
That is always the question. 8 around the corner here. The Ducks will have their ult for their Chromie. Neon gets caught here, gets hit by a Dragon's Eye, as well as a Sand Blast. We're going to have Sportbilly coming in, but good play from Power. He steps forward to keep Greymane away from the dive-in. Slowing Sands has been picked up. Arthas is the target.
No, Slowing Sands being super annoying here now, of course. And to the top lane, we see the Web Weavers already moving in, so Ice Cream is chunking down that Web Weaver to the bot lane. Sonya is still fighting Leoric and the Web Weavers, but up to the top, as you can see right now, we have the playing Ducks doing a whole lot of work against the towers, taking both of them down already as is. An attempt to go for Chris Explosion, but they cannot confirm the kill.
Yep, Wolfjo walks up and gets a good root on Zuljin in particular, who would be the one that applies the damage to kill the Anubarak. So overall, Synergy, with their solid wave clear, defend relatively well. They actually don't take too much damage on their towers. In fact, they only lost 1? No, they didn't even lose 1. There's one that's a little healthier in the middle, but that's about it. The Ducks not able to push in and gain too much advantage off of that turn-in.
Now, in case that you're a little bit newer to the game, this map in particular is one where you attempt to snowball, and if you get both of those turn-ins, that would be amazing. So right now, the Ducks are going to try and hit level 10 first. They're going to attempt to interrupt the turn-ins by Synergy, because Synergy is currently holding 78 gems, and they only need to turn in another 30. So the game plan for the Ducks is now to just reach another half level so they get level 10 abilities. That gives them such a massive power spike that Synergy would not even attempt to turn in. And then on the back of that level 10 ability, the playing Ducks would try and get enough gems for a second turn-in for themselves and then hand that in again. So they have 2 turn-ins back-to-back and attempt to snowball an experience lead with that.
And they have really cool tools to actually do this. They have Scouting Drone on the bottom right turn-in, so they can actually scout for that. They have the Moonfires available from Malfurion. They even sent Greymane over to the right side here to grab mercenary camps, knowing that they have the tools to slow down that rotation. Now, with enough gems being available relatively soon here, we're going to have like 2 more gems overall. They can go for that turn-in that you were speaking about.
Greyman is, by the way, doing a really good job stacking his level 7. We have now 10 stacks already for him, so he's super fast with that. Also, the 10 abilities are now in play, and that's a double Web Weaver wave that we've been talking about. The Web Weavers are now descending again. Curse Bullet taken for Greymane, so they can chunk away on the front line too. Normally, as a rule of thumb, if you go for Curse Bullet, you're trying to attack the front line. If you're going for go for the Thought, it's more the back line that you're interested in. Of course, there's still opportunities that you have as Greymane to go deep onto someone like Morales and Gul'dan, but the Curse Bullet in particular gets more value as you are attacking high hit point heroes.
Yeah, it's a good rule of thumb, and as a rule of pinky, always make sure that you have someone that can kill somebody if you do for the Curse Bullet, and they have it here. They have Chromie with the auto-attack damage, but also Leoric, who's great against Arthas. If you get Arthas down to half health by Greymane Poke, as well as that Curse Bullet, Arthas can move in with that Drain Hope and apply a massive amount of damage and get yourself set up for kills. Now, the Web Weavers have been pretty effective for the Ducks. We have the middle fort being killed, as well as the bottom one, and already the Web Weaver knocking on the top fort. So they're starting to break down the first layer of defense for Synergy.
This is definitely a big problem for Synergy, that both of the Web Weaver waves are taken. And in the top lane, they might be able to save it, but down to the bottom, Greymane is just destroying the fort with the Web Weavers. Nandes, of course, also here. So we have 2 heroes just crushing through the structures, and that now results in the Ducks getting that experience lead that we've been talking about earlier. This is the entire idea behind this. You are trying to dominate the early game so that you will always be a talent up. The experience lead doesn't matter to the extent that it doesn't matter if your opponent is a level ahead, it matters if he's a talent ahead. And that's going to be the case in just a few more seconds as the playing Ducks are about to reach level 13. And then Synergy finds himself into that awkward spot again where they have to make a decision. Do we engage into a fight where our opponent has a lead over us because of the extra talent, or do we just stay passive and wait for us to reach the same talent here?
They have to be careful regardless. With 114 gems on them, they could not afford to lose it. The Playing Ducks are just out-poking them here on the turn-in so heavily. Power on the right side decides to go in. The Entomb popping out. Curse Bullets hits Hydra. He's low on health. Here's the Safeguard. Horrify being used. Also, Cocoon coming out.
Cocoon coming out. Heal is in, but now Power of Dream is about to fall. Arthas is down, and they are going to lose more. Nande with a paralyzing rage is just slowing them down. Another kill in the backline, and Sonya is just destroyed. The Ice Cream is rushing away, but now Morales is falling, and it looks like Neon is going to be next on his cooldown. That's a quad kill here, and that is 100 gems lost on the side of Synergy.
I think that was 110 in total.
The
Holy
worst
moly.
case scenario.
That is not good at all, Calidor. You are completely correct. Worst case scenario, Playing Ducks lose out on their possibility for comebacks. That's what those turn-ins were. They were their chance here to break down their opponent's forts and such. The Playing Ducks make a massive player advantage as they move in and get that talent advantage. They kill off all the gems, and they're just in a spot here where they have 3 levels on their opponent and can push them down at any point. This is really unfortunate for Synergy, and now they have to rely on team fights. They have to get kills.
Yeah, Synergy needs team wipes, and they had 2 choices. Wait for level 13, try to turn in with that. I think that would have been the safer play, way safer, since with Playing Ducks already turning in twice, they didn't hold gems. So the game plan for Synergy should have been wait, play a bit more passive. Yes, it's gonna suck, but at the same time, we are then in a spot where we can probably turn in twice in a row if we play our cards right. Now they have lost 110 gems. And they are still not on level 13 talents. And the big issue is, once they reach level 13 talents, we could see 16 approach soon. But that's the battle they want to take, and that was a bad choice, since we already have 4 versus 5, and Hydra is about to go down. Cocoon comes into lane. There's the Horrify. That didn't do a thing either.
Zepka on the left is still alive, but low on health. They do get a trade out. They do kill Greymane. Neon on the right side also poking in for these fights as well. Solid job overall. Sir Ice Cream with the Stim Drone does move in for some adjustments on the play, so they will grab the Giants, which is helpful overall. But the Playing Ducks realizing, okay, we've already lost this fight. We lost our Greymane. They pull away, and they don't get wiped. That was much more important.
That was actually better than expected here, especially Greymane did solid work here in that. Taking down, Zul'jin did solid work here, taking out the Greymane and then also moving Anubarak back. So that was really well done. So they trade actually up with this. That looked like a lost fight at the beginning, but then coming in with the Horrify and also the Cocoon not really doing as much work as they were hoping for. On the side of the Ducks, that helped Synergy. The problem still remains. They might be on 13 talents for now, but the Ducks are about to hit their 16 spike.
The 16 is scary. They also have 44 gems available, so if they do win a team fight, they can turn in with that 16 spike and start moving towards keeps. And Nande and Chrisplosion are now dropping here. 35 gems. 3 more will need to be topped off here to grab the next Web Weaver phase. All of Synergy realizing that they are behind. They are not at 16. Their opponents are doing a turn-in. They all move back to home, and they start defending that top lane, which is probably the most important top lane here due to the boss. If the boss gets picked up, that could be lethal.
The 16-power spike is now in play, so we have the Tenacious Roots on the side of Malfurion, and that alone for the lockdown is already big. Red Web Weaver wave being summoned here, descending and helping them to push in keeps. This is a rough position to be in for Synergy. 2.5 levels down, dealing with the Web Weavers here. This should be the moment where the Ducks are getting at least a keep.
They are looking for it. Sieging away with Chroman on the right side. Leorc even in the top lane pushing in. There's a split push occurring, so we'll have 2 keeps at once being hit.
And another thing is also the adjustment on Anubarak with the debilitation taken on level 16 now. So if he hits cooldown, then the spell power is going to be reduced by 50% for the next 4 seconds. And that's the main damage dealer from the backline that we have here. So this is definitely a big issue if Neon is not able to dodge that. So far, they hold the keep in the middle, but there's still pressure coming from the top Web Weaver. Sonya is taking care of the bot lane. Synergy is defending quite nicely, but they're still so far behind.
Yeah, they're defending, but slowly getting edged out. As the poke keeps coming out from the Playing Ducks, Zul'jin finally makes a commitment to head to top lane to defend that lane. And overall, the Ducks are unable to get a keep. They get the one in the middle down to half health, but they defend the top lane, Synergy does, and they get closer to 16. They are 1 level away. The Playing Ducks taking the opportunity. Move in and grab a boss.
Yeah, you could actually argue that the Ducks could have been a little bit more aggressive in their mid lane, but they decided against it, so they only chunk the keep down to half HP and make the play for boss while they still can, since Synergy doesn't have the 16 talent. Synergy, on the other hand, is currently looking to see what they can pull off here. Can they maybe get a turn in? Can they get at least one of the camps? So they are looking for both, but Nand is already waiting in the shadows and gets the interrupt. Boss has been taken to the top, and this is already the signal for Synergy that they have to back off here.
Nice.
They knew already that the boss would be taken, but they were hoping to get the Web Weaver wave to deep push at least the other 2 lanes.
Yep, and playing Ducks are willing to put both their tanks down there to defend that push, as that is the normal counter basic strategy. If you know your opponent's getting a boss, you try to sneak in a turn in, so you can get Web Weavers pushing in, you can focus all your resources on making sure you don't lose a keep. And now Synergy does not get that chance. They leave Sonya, Hydra in the bottom to start moving towards 16 and also grab Giants, and the Ducks to start marching forward.
Yeah, this keep is in trouble now, but as you said, they need 16. 16 would be a big change here. The keep is gonna fall one way or another. So Ice Cream, they're moving back here, trying to chunk the boss down, playing Ducks. They don't risk anything anymore. They know that 16 is gonna hit right now. Yes, they have a 2-level lead, but it's about the talents. So once again, with that 2-level lead, they're going to hope for an early 20. And this is where Synergy now has a chance to start fights. They have 16 talents. This is an even fight now. So if they get an opportunity to force 1 or 2 team fights, they have the chance to start a comeback.
Hydra made a clever play there. He got a turn in and also set the Giants up to be grabbed. He's going to turn around and get caught, though, by the playing Ducks. They move in. He's spinning to hopefully win here. Stays alive for the moment. Safeguard comes out. Cocoon being used to get on top of the Morales. Teammates of Synergy will turn around and save her for now, so Sefka will be able to heal up Hydra. And now Synergy has a chance to move in and get aggressive. They still have Horrify and Tazdigo available.
Synergy moving in, the double root. Arthas goes in. Horrify being used there, going for an Uberak. Explosion trying to get away, but once again, he is chunked down. That's the kill for Synergy. They have some momentum down to the bot lane now with those 2 Siege Giants, and they have a turn in as well. They have the Web Weavers appearing to the top, to the middle, and they go through that bot. This is the moment to pick up the experience, to take structures down and close that gap in experience.
Yes, that is correct. This is the moment for them to push. The playing Ducks, after losing a Nubrak, realize they're going to lose a fort, so they just peel off team members. They sent Leoric to the top, clear out that Web Weaver, and Greymane to the middle. So the Web Weaver push here is not lasting very long, as the Ducks will just focus on defending the keep now with all resources.
More and more structures taken down here. Synergy on the warpath, trying to see if they can maybe even get a kill. Decide to go back for now, maybe a rotation into the middle and dropping another 4. That would help. Still Nubarak dead, so that's a 5 versus 4. They don't go for the camp here, but they need to pull something else off. They're trying to turn in again. It's a double turn that we've been talking about earlier. And it's so devastating for them that they lost these 110 gems earlier here. If they would have gotten both these turns, if they would have just, again, been a little bit more patient, they could be in a better spot. But Synergy still isn't out of this yet. The playing Ducks, on the other hand, they are slowly and steadily getting towards level 20 talents.
Yep, they want to get that 20, and once they do, Endural Anomaly, the pickup for the Ducks is going to be scary. You get set up for sieging potential, you sit around the entire side. Arthas and Sonya have a hard time walking through those time traps. The Ducks should take that advantage and run with it, but for now, Synergy wants to be aggressive as possible for the next few seconds that they have a even talent here. The Web Weaver's pushing in the top, middle, and bottom is going to be good for them. Getting forts is probably their big priority. Grabbing those give experience.
Forcing a fight would be the dream. Right now, a decent Horrify is something that would be the absolute dream on the side of Synergy. Already, we're seeing everybody positioned here, but 20 is so close for the Ducks. Synergy, how are they going to play this? Top is being attacked. They have 1.5 levels of a disadvantage. Are they going for it? 20 is in now. That's the Storm talent. Gul'dan still poking. They want the keep. I'm not sure if they can really get it without exposing themselves too much.
They're poking. Luckily for them, Nande has elected to move to the bottom. Doesn't want to deal with keep pressure onto his keep. The playing Ducks will allow for the fort to fall in the middle. That gets them closer to 19. They are so close to hitting 19, but they still have one more level to climb into.
Good dodge here. Cleanse has already been used a little bit earlier to dodge one of the roots, so it's still on CD. We have still the keeps or the forts taken. It's the level that they are behind. We have nearly enough gems on the side for the Ducks to get a turn in by themselves. They are missing 15. That's a couple of waves that they have to take out here. So they are looking for potential engage. Power of Dreams is sitting there. Knows he's found out already. Crisplosion is stopped cold in his tracks, but here's the Entomb.
It goes off here. We're going to have the slowing sands also drop. Greymane on the right side looking for the engage. Playing Ducks can't actually move into that choke there. They had 4 people near that choke on the bottom left of the mercenary camps, but they will take away Synergy's camps.
I really think that Neon was maybe a bit too fast on that Horrify. It helped saving Arthas. If that was the only goal, then by all means, that was great. But I think in this particular choke point, you could have tried to isolate someone.
And with the Horrify being down, the Ducks will take the opportunity to push in the middle and go for that keep they damaged earlier. Starting to fall down. It's about half health, getting lower and lower as Chromie continues to poke with the aid of Greymane.
They're going in once again here, trying to poke that. They have the top already taken apart, so that's the first one. And this one should fall too, but Power of Dreams is still zoning. 20 would be the dream at this point for Synergy. Can they make that work? That's the big question. The Ducks, if they can get a kill, can get way more here than only a keep, but the keep will fall eventually for sure.
Yep, the poke keeps coming out. Synergy is going to have to deal with that. They've put Hydra in the top lane to soak that 20. They are a quarter of a level away, and with the final Dragon's Breath, we're going to have the keep fall here in the middle. Catapult pressure. Pushing top lane and middle lane. The Playing Ducks have a small window here before 20 hits for Synergy, and they potentially capitalize here. They move straight in towards the boss. Yep, with the door anomaly, it's going to be really hard for Synergy to actually contest this. 3 traps down.
They need to contest it though. So that's the 20. I think they were willing to start it, and they hope they're going to set up that fight. It's a bit of a trap, so one way or another, they're willing to take this battle.
Power. Oh no, he just gets killed immediately there. Chris Explosion on the right is taking access to the face here, low on health, but Wolf Joe will top him off with a heal.
Yeah, he's down, so with him already eliminated, it looked a little bit weird, like he didn't use his Icebound Fortitude for this one. At this point, them losing the tank this fast? Cursed Bullet and everything was just blown in his face. He didn't stand a chance there. And at this point, of course, it's once more the 4 versus 4, 20s or no 20s, it doesn't matter. But there's no boss taken yet. So if they can dance around that, it's another 30 seconds until Arthas is going to be back.
Yep, Ducks want to get 2 more gems here, grab the gems and go for the turn-in here. They can get turn-in and boss at the same time before Arthas spawns. In fact, they start it now. The boss is being focused down. Once again, traps are set up for the Ducks. Synergy. It's hard to decide what to do here. It feels like you kind of have to go all in for it and you go for a fight.
I don't think you can. Not with Chromie setting down the slowing sands, the traps as well. That's the trap if I've ever seen one. I mean, look at this.
Yeah, it's a trap, but it's also possibly game at the same time with the turn-in and the boss pushing in. Synergy's gonna have to have a miracle Hail Mary defense. They elect to give up the boss.
They need to flank.
They're waiting for Arthas. Yeah, a big flank on the back line.
Flank the back line, go past the boss, don't fight it straight up. This is rough. This is really rough. Arthur's been blowing apart like this in a fight. I'm really curious to see if he used the Icebound Fortitude. I cannot imagine that. Yes, Cursed Bullet is a lot. If you get a good Chromie combo in, then there's a ton of damage, but I feel Icebound Fortitude would have helped you survive that. Right now, power hits. The bullet is hit again. The bullet is there. There's immediately the cleanse, also Horrify being used, and they are about to chunk down their bosses. Stimdron and Sul'jin help so much with this.
Horrify being down gives Playing Ducks aggressive plays. They hit Sul'jin. He has to force back and heal. Hydra has popped the Hardened Shield to ignore pain. He is charged in to fight. The Twilight Dream stops the Whirlwind, and Hydra has fallen. Sul'jin goes for Tastingo. Chris Explosion gets focused down. So does Sport Billy, but the kill is overall being used here. Sport Billy gets the kill, and now the core is the next big target. We're going to have Chris focusing down Morales, and he snipes her.
Sevkaja was cocooned once again, and Playing Ducks, they are just having the superior team fight here. The coordination is absolutely on point. They know exactly what to go for, and that is looking really solid. Gul'dan is dead too, and the Playing Ducks take the series with a 3-1 victory.
They grab the win. The Playing Ducks this weekend looking a little bit more consistent and a little more on point. And again, just every single weekend they come in and we don't know what Playing Ducks we're going to get. And today we got the Playing Ducks that were with each other. They were comfortable playing the strategies and the battlegrounds, and they earned a victory because of it. Yeah,
and the Ducks definitely looking a lot more solid here today. I like it. At the same time, I have to question a bit Neon's Gul'dan. I don't think the Horrifiers are really that strong. He was under a lot of pressure on Dragonshire, and that was a bit of an issue. But now we see basically the same thing happening again on the last map. Yes, sometimes you just want to save a hero, but ideally you want to isolate and get a kill of it. So there was a lot of ults that were used by Gul'dan that just didn't have that impact that you usually aim for when you pick the hero in the first place. And the Playing Ducks, they were absolutely on point with the team fights, as we could see there. Great coordination in those last few battles as well. Even with the boss being basically eliminated by Sul'jin within seconds, they just didn't have any trouble whatsoever because of great use of the Twilight Dream on Malfurion, good lockdowns, the cocoon when it needed to be there. Very well done.
Yeah, I think it comes to a point with this Horrify is that you have to hit it at a point where Zul'jin is getting low on health because you want to get effective use of him. And if you get a big, massive Horrify that applies, hits 2 to 3 people, and Zul'jin's actually able to focus targets when he has a quarter health or a half health with Morales and that stem drone coming in, then he can actually get kills. But they were always so early. Zul'jin was never in a weak spot at that point when they were used, and it just seemed like the coordination, once again, for Synergy, just not quite there overall today. And hopefully they'll be able to do it in the Crucible, because with that loss, I believe they are 100% into the Crucible no matter what now. And so they are in the bottom 2 officially alongside Be Genius. And you'll have to watch out for them in the next couple of weeks when they do face off in the Crucible and whether or not they could stay in the HGC.
Yeah, for them, that was pretty brutal there. They've been saying the entire time that they are also, of course, still trying to just get the experience here, making sure that they are changing things. And they have actually changed quite a bit. If you think about how Hydra is currently playing a lot more on the Sonya, how they are not really going for these oddball compositions anymore, or throwing them in a little bit less and instead focusing more on the meta plays. I like that a lot. So that preparation and them getting the experience with this helps them going into the Crucible right now. But of course, it's always one of those things where there's a lot on the line, and you know that, so anything can happen there. But it's going to be exciting to see how they fare against these open division teams that are currently pushing in.
Well, talking about the Ducks, they mentioned at the beginning of the year that they just wanted to make sure that they made it to the next phase of the HGC, so Phase 2. And now, officially, they have done it. They'll be able to play on the playoffs now, and they can start focusing on their goals. And their goals was to start competing with the top 3 or the top 4 after they got done through the first phase of Phase 1. So congratulations to them. That's a really big deal with their victory today. And they're a team, man. If they can just work on their consistent issues, they'll be good to go as long as they are able to actually talk through that and work as a team. In particular, I think Crisplosion, maybe a little bit more work on some of those tanks in the front line. That a Nubrek, he seems to be a little bit overextended, and that's because the Nubrek has a smaller health pool, right? Like if you get paid off by a Horrify or anything that comes your way, you got to be near your teammates. So if they tighten those up a little bit more, this could be a team that could be consistent and a little bit better.
Yeah, they definitely have shown some great play, especially against the big 3 teams. They have done really well. At least, okay, if we're talking about Team Liquid mostly against Dignitas, they had a bit of a rough time. I think Dignitas drafts were also a bit better against playing Ducks in particular. But they have shown incredible improvement over the season too.
Yeah, actually, I want to ask him. We're going to talk to Crisplosion pretty soon here when we get him on the call, and just ask him about those issues, because it's something that they're actually pretty vocal about on Twitter. Regular Chris, not Crisplosion, mentioned Regular Chris mentioned it on Twitter earlier. He's like, hey, we're so inconsistent. It feels bad, man. GG's to our opponents. So, really it's something that they need to focus on. And I want to know where they're starting that. Do you go into team practice and just talk about the issues? Are they watching replays together? Things that you need to do to etch out those small things that the top 3 teams are already pulling off so well.
It's actually kind of funny because they seem to be getting the wins they really need. You don't expect them to win against Team Liquid. Of course, if they can edge out that victory, it would be fantastic. Then they have a loss all of a sudden against BGenius. That feels a little bit weird too. But when they're up against a direct competitor, like Trick, for example, all of a sudden they are full there and they take that series. And that's exactly those wins that they need. So this on and off scenario, it's really weird with them. And the consistency, if they can work on that, as you said, I think it applies to a couple of the teams that we are having in the playoff ranks right now.
Sure, yeah. Look at Tricked. I mean, Tricked for the first few weeks and these last couple of weeks was looking really great, and then they played the Playing Ducks and just fell apart so heavily. I will say the Playing Ducks played the maps better than I've ever seen them play that week. They seemed to be really prepared, but then again, that was the same Playing Ducks that 2 days later lost out to Be Genius and gave them their first victory of the season.
Yeah, and they have also really cool ideas, especially when we're talking about Brexit. Usually they are trying to make something happen on that map. And especially the double globe that we saw, that was pretty cool. So I could definitely see the Ducks just having different approaches there. They were also the ones that threw in the double Zeratul Judgmentarial composition against Team Liquid. So it's not that they're only looking at, okay, what do other teams do? How do we copy that? They actually go in and say, all right, we have a bit of an idea how the current meta can be exploited. There's no cleanse on Lucio. Let's try and play around this. We have double global. Everybody goes normally 4-4-1 setup. Break that up a little bit and see where that gets us. So it's just that thought process that they have and where they're willing to show different styles that helps them also to set themselves apart from the crowd a bit.
I mean, it's needed. I mean, just look at Expert, the actual official number 4 team. When it comes to the lower teams, every match that they've won, it's been a 3-0 period across the board. Expert is ready to play against those lower teams. They're good to go. What they need to focus on is moving into the top 3. And the Playing Ducks needs to get there, and they can get there. It's just, oh man, it's so hard when you have so much depth here in the HGC for Europe. That's probably been my favorite part. I think around week 3, week 4, I was like, holy crap. All these teams in certain moments can be incredibly good. It's just whether or not they show up that day.
It's definitely a bit of a luxury problem that we have in Europe now, that the big three fight against each other all the time. We've been talking about how Team Liquid can still reach the #1 spot depending on tomorrow's results and how they themselves then fare. And then you have the rest with Expert trying to push into the top 3, not able to make it just yet, but also not being part of the rest, where they're all fighting for not only dropping into the Crucible, but for the position in the playoffs. With our stepladder system, every single rank is important here. So if we look at the European standings, it's absolutely cool. It's really nice to have these constant battles between certain teams. It's pretty entertaining.
I mean, speaking about the standings, we keep letting you guys know the playoffs are coming, and they will be coming soon. So Playing Ducks and Tricky Sport in that 5th and 6th spot, we'll figure out who will be facing each other. You know, 6th will play the 5th, 5th play the 4th, so on and so on. Now, it sounds like we're not going to get Chris Bojan on the phone today, so unfortunately, no interview, but we'll talk to them in the future. We'll get ready for our next matchup, and we'll be right back after a quick break.